So welcome to another watercolor session, and today it will not be a session for beginners. Like the last couple of days I've done a lot of easy peasy summer themed paintings with you, like these. These were from the last couple of days. We also did these. So these were illustrations that we did with, and we painted with watercolor, that were very easy to draw. And yeah, there are a few that we need to finish, but I'm going to pause that because I actually have something that I really need to paint and I'm running out of time. So I'm going to do that live here, and it is actually out of my comfort zone. So bear with me, and I hope that everything is going to be all right and I'm not going to fail terribly. So a friend of mine is getting married and he's totally into Dungeons and Dragons, and so is his fiance. So I want to do something with that for a card we are creating. Well, I'm creating the card and we want to give it with all of our colleagues. So I'm already saying too much. So anyway, I am going to try to draw and paint a dragon. So that's not a very beginner friendly topic, but it's even out of my comfort zone. But I thought it would be interesting to watch anyway, and I really hope that this is going to work. So starting with the dragon, I want to have it in a direction like this. And then the head needs to be somewhere around here. The body somewhere around here. And then we've got some wings going like this. And then I think maybe that way, and then also from this direction all the way there. Maybe even a bit more like this. So I already have my soft eraser ready for when I make mistakes. And maybe it would have been better if I started this on some sketching paper instead of my expensive watercolor paper. I often skip that step, but especially when you are a total beginner, I do recommend trying out new compositions on sketching paper, especially when you don't feel very confident with paint or with drawing yet. So some kind of tail. And let me see how I am going to do this here. Like, so this is like the body, and then you got a, how do you say it, like a front leg right here, something like that. And the other one, so I need to give it claws. I'm not really happy with this one here. It looks a bit strange. Let me try that again. So a bit like this. Yeah, I think this is going to look better. Yeah, so in this way, we are going to give it claws. So let me see if the neck, I really hope that I'm having the proportions right. Yeah, I'm really trying something out here. I'm out of my own comfort zone. If you ask me to draw a fox or a robin or something like that, I can do that almost with my eyes closed. Now that will be a challenge. But a dragon, I've never drawn or painted a dragon before. But that's the nice thing, when you draw often, you kind of get confident with your own skills, and you're like, if someone asks you, hey, would you like to draw a dragon for me? You're like, oh, sure. I've never done it before, but I think I can do it. So if you're watching, I would love it if you say hi and let me know where you're from. And let me know if you're into watercolors or any other creative hobby. So I am doing this recurring watercolor lives, and usually the point is that it's for watercolor beginners, but right now I do need to create something, and for that I need a dragon. I do actually need 2 dragons, and I am really having a lot of like time conflicts, scheduled stuff. So I was like, okay, maybe I just need to do this in the live, and then you can see me trying something that is difficult for me. And of course, I can imagine that right now for you, this sketch looks really funny, and I am still not sure if this is actually going to work. So maybe I need multiple efforts for this. I feel like I've made this leg is way too big. So maybe at this point, I think I should have taken my own advice and started out on some sketching paper first. I got too confident. So I think the leg should end somewhere about here. And then the other leg like this. Alright, now I'm still messing it up a bit. Maybe I also need to study dragons more. Like, I'm wondering right now, how do the claws of dragons look like? I must admit that I think mostly I am focusing on their heads. They're pretty majestic heads. Alright, so then it will mean that this will be right like this. Alright, I think this could work. I'm just going to finish those wings. Let me see, I want to have like 4 of those curves on each side. 2, 3. Let me see if this is like, this is going up here, then this should be going a bit like here. I think that will work. Now, I don't want it like this. You see me struggling. But that's why they invented soft erasers. No, I'm not liking this. Maybe I need to have this less curved. And then I want this to be a bit bigger. And then somehow I need to fit 3 more of those bows. 1, 2. Oh no, it was only 2 more. Okay. Okay, and now let me see if I can fix the head. Like, it's going to have these, how do you say it, these spine stuff, spikes. And I want to have the face a bit, I think the size is all right. I need to make sure that the direction is going right. Like this is the, how do you say, the upper side of the face. And then you get these spikes, thingies around here. And then somehow I need to, like, I think horns or something around there and there. And there are more spike. No, this one needs to be like those spikes around here. And I'm not going to put too much details in here. I want it to be how do you say it, like a simple watercolor painting. So maybe this drawing is not for actual beginners, because I mean, when I talk about beginners, I'm talking about drawing something like a cherry or a strawberry, like the basic shape. And right now, I think you can agree that this is more next level drawing, but once I have the drawing ready, I think I'm very confident with the watercolor part. Let me see. And then, of course, I'm already drawing too much details here, but I think it's going to help me. When I do a more complex illustration, I draw more details. So if you're watching, I would love it if you say hi. Tell me where you're from and if you are into painting, watercolor painting, or any other craft. I am doing these regular lives with watercolor, and usually they are for beginners, but today I am having a schedule conflict. I really need this dragon and another dragon that I need to create and some other stuff for a card that I need to make. It's going to be for someone who's getting married, and with a bunch of people we want to give them a card, and they're really into D&D. So we thought that this would be fun with some other elements, of course. But I have never drawn a dragon before. So I'm a little bit out of my comfort zone doing this on a live. But that makes it maybe a bit interesting for you that you can see me fail. And I'm really happy with these soft erasers. They're really helping me out. But I do need to take my own advice in the future and start this on some sketching paper. Oh, hello, Ingrid. That's very interesting. Are you on holiday in Cyprus or are you living there? And I'm really happy. Yeah, it's nice to hear that you like to paint with watercolor as well. I actually must admit that I do love Norway very much. I've never been to Cyprus. All right, I think I made this one too thick. So what kind of watercolors do you do? Oh, you're living there. Yeah. It is cold, and what I do remember, it gets dark there as well. But I love the nature of Norway, and I do love the people and the language. But I can imagine that you like to live in a warmer climate. So what kind of watercolors do you do? Do you also do illustrations or maybe landscapes or... Yeah, nature is really beautiful there. So I would like to go there sometime soon again, but that will be for holiday. The longest I've been in Norway was 3 or 4 months. I lived on a sheep farm on an island somewhere like 1.5 hours from Trondheim. I did some vacation work there, and it was like the best time of my life, I guess. Yeah, I do also like to paint flowers and animals, and somehow I find landscapes challenging. I do like to paint nature, but more like illustrations. Let me see, I am not doing this right. Let me see. I need to pay attention to this thing right here. So maybe I'm not so good at multitasking. Yeah, it wasn't totally up north. I really want to go there someday. But yeah, it was really... I think it took a while to get there. I believe like 8 hours train to Trondheim and then 1.5 hour by bus ride and boat to get there. Oh yeah, I will do that. After this live, I will check out your profile. I'd love to see it. Alright, so these two things needed to be near this thing right here, and now I can go to the edge here. So you're all coming for watercolors and I'm still drawing, but I think I got all the lines I need to have on this paper. So now I can go start painting it, and I need to figure out what color I'm going to do. So I want to have 2 dragons, and therefore it's like for a wedding card that's in D&D team. So it's for a bride and a groom, maybe a pink and a green one or something, pink red. Yeah. So first now I am going to use my kneading eraser, and I'm going to lift off all the excess pencil lines so that in the end result I won't be able to see that. I don't like to have the gray in the end result. The only thing is that, especially with complexer illustrations, if I get too enthusiastic with the erasing, then I sometimes cannot see where I should paint, and then I need to get creative. But I think this will work out. And a lot of times with painting landscapes and flowers, I don't even make a sketch or composition. I think that's the challenge, to make loose watercolor paintings. Alright, so this way I'm still able to see a bit of the outline. As you can see, it's still very subtly there. And now I am going to grab my paint palette, my brush. Yeah, that's really nice too. I think the challenge for me in landscape is that I'm not doing a sketch, and you really are working with the flow of the paint. Like first with wet on wet and then see how it goes. I really like that challenge. But it's a lot of fun. I am thinking I'm going to use this size 2 round brush because I've got a lot of small areas to cover. And I'm going to start off with a pinkish color. I'm going to just paint this in like it's a coloring sheet. And I need to try to stay within those lines. That's what I'm aiming for. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I like that a lot as well. Actually, right now I have it as a same thing a bit because I don't have in my head right now where all the colors need to be. I'm just starting here and let's see how this is going to go. Now the paint is still wet, so this is a nice time to add some other color or more pigment. And I think I like the idea to have some red in here as well. And I like to trace the edges, and because it's still wet, it can nicely, slowly blend in there. All right, I dripped something here. I need to get my paper towels, then it's easier to fix something like that. So now I'm going to the next bit, and this is how I'm going to repeat all those areas in between the wings. So at first I didn't have enough pigment on my brush and then it was too much, but I am brushing it out because I do have enough water in the paper right now. This is a different type of painting compared with doing a landscape, because I'm actually just doing this like as if I'm coloring in a coloring sheet. And I do, for a first layer, like to use the wet on wet technique for blending colors. And then I can come back later for details. Oh, I am from the Netherlands. Living there as well. I think this is looking really nice with the pink and the red. Yeah, I really like it here. It's a nice place to live. Although less nature and forest than I would like. I really love forests, and like a real forest for me, I need to drive at least 30 minutes to get there. But other than that, it's a really nice place to live. And normally it's not too hot, but with the heat waves it got hot here as well. Used to the rain. So now I figured out how I'm going to do these parts of the wings. It's easy. And then after that I need to think about the other areas. I think it's going to be a red dragon with pink details. Yeah, that's a good idea to use some purple as well. I think I'm going to put, the belly needs to be lighter, so that's going to be like a light ochre or something. And so I could use purple for a shade, I could use it for details, or I could turn it into a purple dragon. Like all these, yeah, how do you say, the actual wings, I could make them purple. What do you think I should do? This area right here, so that means also like the back, all these main parts of the dragon. Am I going to make them red with purple highlights or purple with pink highlights? Like a bit more pink in here. Yeah, purple. All right, we're going for purple. Oh, that should have been red. Okay, I'm going to lift off some water because otherwise it's too wet. And now I'm going to grab some red. Now I like the thought of purple, so I'm going to go with that. But that's the thing with what I'm doing often when I make an illustration. I start with the drawing and then I often don't have a plan. I also like being in that flow of picking one color and then play around with the colors. Often it works out very well, and sometimes I do get an error, but I think the more often you work with colors, the more you get an eye for it maybe. But I do like experimenting with it. Yeah, that's so much fun to do. Yeah, so maybe this part is less interesting because I'm just doing the same routine right now, but I really want to have these bits finished before I continue to the next part. And I'm already loving how this is drying up right here. So again, first my wash was too light and then I put too much paint on there. But now I'm using some extra clean water and I'm brushing it out again. Yeah, it's for a wedding. Well, it's actually my manager. He's getting married, and he and his wife, well, no, fiance, soon to be wife, they are totally into D&D. So my colleagues asked me if I could make a card because I am like the official card delivery person at my work right now. So that's really a big honor. And I'm just really making this for them. The things that I know about them, I'm going to put it in there. So I thought about 2 dragons and then, you know, some green foliage, some flowers, and of course something with a sword and dice. And then I need to put it together somehow. So basically I am drawing and painting the loose elements first, and then I'm going to digitize it and then try to make a composition with that. And I think it's a bit difficult because I don't know a lot about D&D. My eldest daughter has recently started playing it, so I know a I would like to try it out someday, but I think that if I'm just doing it in these, how do you say it, with these elements, I made a mood board. If I'm going to use it, I think it's going to be a nice card. At least I hope so. Yeah, for this one I've decided to work that way because I didn't have enough inspiration yet to make an entire illustration. And I do that often, I guess. Wait, let me quick, 1 second. Like these two, they are examples of things I've painted, like elements, and then I put together to make a card. So yeah. I actually love creating products with my watercolor art, and working with elements really makes it easy to put something on a product. Like if you paint an illustration with a background, then it has like edges. You cannot make something with a seamless pattern, and it also takes much more time to, it's more difficult to clean up the background. Yeah, I think I picked this up when I did some surface design, you know, like pattern making. So, and later on I started to do more illustrations, but I'm still sometimes doing this. So with the frogs, I started out because I had this moment I wanted to do frogs. So I started out with these loose frogs because I wanted to practice. And once I did a lot of them, I started to create the illustrations. So the entire paper with an illustration, you know, the toads on the toadstools and stuff like that. But when I pick a new animal, I most often start with a whole bunch of them just for practice, but they do really work well to create patterns and other products. Oh, I can show you this one. Like this is on a mug. This actually was a fixed illustration with a really pretty blue background, and it took me a lot of time to clean this up. But I needed to put that, I needed to clean it up to be able to put it on a mug. And I actually had some other otters in that illustration as well, but because the way they were in that illustration, I couldn't really clean them up nicely to put them on a product like this. So we finished the insides, the webbing of those wings. So I think it's time for the purple. Let's just see how that's going. Now, I am going to very gently try to stay within those lines and not try to touch anything else, which is very difficult at the pointy bits. Yeah, I haven't started really light, but I do have room to add some more pigment in here. I didn't want to start with a too light wash. What I always try to do is stay within those lines so the paint won't touch the other paint, and start blending in together. Now I do hope that at this part it already dried up a bit, so it won't really blend in there. I do like this color combination. Yeah, I'm very happy with this suggestion. Yeah. So right now this part has dried already, so it's not blending in together. But what I do like to do when painting illustrations like this is staying in the clear. So you get these white lines in between, and I guess that's a bit my illustration style. And if I really don't want to take the risk, then I just wait overnight until it's dry, or I'll use a dryer, like a hair dryer, or you do have craft versions of it to dry up the paint faster, but then it dries in a different way. You get more harsher lines. So now I am painting this part, and while the paint is still wet, I would like to do something with it. So now I'm thinking, am I going to add in a different color or some more pigment, make it darker? I think it could use more pigment. Let's just start with that. Yeah, it depends on what I'm painting. If it could work for the illustration, then I do it, but otherwise I like to just let it dry overnight, and then you get softer, yeah, softer result. Yeah. Okay, so I am thinking I like to add a bit more dark here, and then let me see if I can, with some water, make it blend out a little bit more right here. And now go this way. I really do like this. I think it's also good for now that the purple doesn't need another color right now. Okay, so I think I'm going to just do the other wing before I move on to the other parts. Oh, wait, I'm starting too dark right now. So sorry, I'm a bit quiet right now. I'm just focusing and in the flow. I mean, I do like creating those compositions, doing those drawings, but doing the actual painting is the real fun part for me. Especially, you know, when you get to see it come together more and more. All right, adding some more dark spaces in here. It's blending a little bit into those webbing stuff because it hasn't totally dried yet, but it's minimum and I don't mind. You can see it right here as well. Yes, exactly. It does match each other. You know, if there would be like a big purple bloom somewhere, then I wouldn't like it. But I really do like those a little bit rough edges. So after this has dried overnight, I am going to add some lines in the webbing as well. But then there I need to really wait for it to be totally dry before I do that. All right, so now let's start with the face. Now I don't want to put a lot of detail in there, but I'm going to try to get a little bit in there. so later on I will come back to see what I will do with the eyes. Yeah, there should be like yeah, I think I like the direction it is going, but I need to come back for the rest later in that phase. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. So maybe once it's dry, I can put more details in there, but I do like to have green yellow colored eyes. And these horns need to have different color as well. And I'm thinking these spines, I think these spikes, they're spikes. I can make them pink later on. Yeah, dark blue. Like, you mean like an indigo blue, like really dark, dark? Yeah, I think I can see that. I don't know how far I am going to get with this one today. So let's just see how far we are going to get, and I will continue tomorrow. Yeah, that's a good idea to start light. I think I'm going to wait with the horns to the last to really see at that point what will really fit well. I want to have done the eyes already. And thinking I do like a bit more shade here already. You know, I also think it's going to be really cool to do some metallic details later. But I do love metallic in my illustrations. But I think that a gold would look really beautiful with this one. Maybe for a few scales or something. Yeah, wouldn't it? I think that would be so nice. Oh, wait. And then I need to think about a nice color scheme for the other dragon. Something, I think, with blue or green. Turquoise, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because so this with the pink is the girl dragon, so I need a man dragon. But I want it to fit together, and then I can create some foliage around it and some flowers that can fit the color theme. Of course, with just green leaves. But if I'm going to do the leaves green, then I must not do the dragon green. So I think it could be a blue dragon. There could even be purple in the blue dragon as well. So they are matching a bit. So I'm going to use that pink to paint this end part of the tail, and I'm not going to do all those stripes. I'm going to do that later on when I'm going to do the details. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I like the way you think. All right, putting some red in there as well. All right, so I think I'm going to do the spikes. And I'm going to use that pink, but with more pigment. It can be darker. So right now I'm already doing the bold statement. I'm not listening. I'm not starting light to dark. I already have my mind made up, I guess. Thank you. Maybe you've noticed I've been picking up some paint pigment from the other area because I was like, oh, maybe it's a bit too dark there. So then I can just use it here. So the spikes get tinier and tinier. Okay, so I was thinking, okay, I'm having doubts between like a light ochre or a light yellow or medium yellow. It needs to be a light belly. I think I'm going to start with a very light yellow, and then I can drop in some other colors to make it